how we sort of price stuff is not really by just like floor space. We kind of do it by floor space, but then add kind of things of, do you have wall space? Do you have a lot of plugs and like windows and things? So these are our desks. This is like the smallest amount of space that you can rent from us. So we've got all different kinds of people that rent my friend Billy's got the end one, and she actually works for a tech company, but totally remote, and was like, I just want the option of going somewhere else. As well as just like renting a physical space from us, we try and provide loads of community kind of support. So we have a crit that you can come to, we have like networking events, we have visitors come and kind of do knowledge exchanges. We'll have like, we have a program of workshops and talks that are external, but we always try and offer free or subsidised tickets to our members. We also have internal sort of workshops and skill sharing. We try and support events that come to us or projects that come to us from our membership. With our external sort of community programme, we try and commission artists from here to work with community groups to realise those projects, so there are actually paid commissions attached to it. Yeah, a lot of my job is supporting people to do things like write funding bids or commission applications, project plans, marketing plans, things that people might not have had to do in a kind of formal way before. Archie, one of our other directors, because he is like a technician and a joiner, does a lot of training on how to use our workshop equipment and how to maybe try skills that are like physical building skills, so that people can leave here with more skills than they had before they joined. It's also really expensive to have tools and things, so to try and provide those things for people. Other members of our staff do similar things to both of those, but also offer like other kind of crit and consultation support for if people are curating their exhibitions and haven't done that before. So we have like gigs, workshops, films, talks, as well as exhibitions, installations, kind of more interactive stuff. We've had performance nights, like loads of different stuff, photo shoots, kind of anything really. Yeah, and even though it's painted white, we try and really avoid that like white cute thing and really try and encourage people to be like messy. So we really don't want to just be like landlords. Like the idea is we're like artist development as well. So as part of your like studio rent, we hire this out for whatever price, depending on who the person is, like externally. But then studio holders can just like, if there's a calendar, just like book. So Jacob just books like a few days in here and stuff, which is nice. So people can do bigger stuff they can't fit in their studio, or something really messy, or like mock stuff up and photograph it, etc., which is really nice. Oh, and just social stuff, like we have quite a lot of like potlucks and things like that, especially when new people join. You know, a lot of artists, if you sit for 8 hours just painting something like that, can get quite lonely. So try and have those sort of events so that people know that they can chat and ask people for help and stuff like that. So I did a load of research into kind of education, I'm from round here, kind of levels in the area, and I can't remember what the like actual number is, but the amount of kids from Armley who go on to higher education in any subject is like 9% or something. It's like really, really bad. And then going into like creative higher education is almost no one. So I think what the summer school was aimed at that I'd set up was for kids in like GCSE and sixth form level to start looking at like, what is a portfolio? How do I apply to uni? What can I do at uni?
No one really told us when we were in college, like, it was uni was the next step, but the idea of them coming in here, the amount of people here that probably didn't go to uni, a lot of them did, don't get me wrong.
There is a lot of people that didn't as well.
And like, you can have a full-time career as an artist, like, and having a studio. Like, a lot of people, like, when they come here, like, that's been here the whole time, and they've been here bloody 10 years. Or like all the other, like, studios around the area. So
for our members, we've got quite a lot of, like, I guess, standard hand tools and power tools and workshop stuff. So drills, hammers, chop saws, jigsaws, like none of it's like high spec stuff because it gets beaten up, and it's either been purchased through certain funding or been given to us. We've got a lot of PPE, obviously important, that people can use. We did have a load of AV equipment, loads of it's got like broken and nicked, but we have some left, so some like photography lights and stuff. We've got a library of art books that we got a lot donated and other people have donated, which is really nice, just if people need some inspiration. They're on different weird things. But and then space is another kind of thing that we, I guess, is an asset. So our members can book out, we'll be able to book out the workshop when that's ready, the new workshop, or book out the project space for bigger projects.
So CAST has an active programme, so we're a visual arts organisation primarily. We have an incredible black box screening space, and we programme artists of international renown for exhibitions, so sort of 6 weeks or 2 month long exhibitions of artist moving image. And then we have an evening programme of additional screenings and artist talks, which rolls through the sort of winter months. And we have learning programmes, so we have an arts lab programme for primary school children, which happens termly, and brings them into the building for an immersive experience, which relates to arts and science and is integrated into curricular concerns. We have a Saturday art club for young people aged 11 to 16, which also runs termly and is linked into our studio holders and our visual arts programme. So those young people get to visit studios, experience different things like ceramics, go out and visit other arts organisations as well. And we have a summer programme, a sort of school holidays programme, which is free for families to engage with, which offers workshops for primary age children, and particularly through the summer months we run something called Cast Off, which began during the pandemic because we couldn't bring people into the building. So instead we go out into sort of nature and run artist-led sessions outside on sort of Saturdays and Wednesdays. Usually this year it's going to be Saturdays at the Walled Garden in Penrose, but we also run at different community locations on different years. We don't really supply equipment. We do have our kind of high-spec black box, which we can rent as a space, but we tend to do that with tech support, which is normally me. And we don't sort of provide equipment for people to take away or use or kind of access in that way. If someone was doing a conference, or sometimes we have participatory projects with dancers or something, and they want to use the screen and do something interactive, they can hire it for a day or for an evening.
So you've got Esther in there, who's a painter. Sadly, on a Monday, pretty much everywhere is shut down here.
Yeah.
But she's got work literally across the road at Studio 11 at the moment.
Yeah. Is that a gallery?
Yeah, it's a very small gallery space.
Yeah.
So it's literally, the actual gallery space is probably, let me see, probably a bit as big as the room on the end, which we'll get to.
Oh, wow.
It's quite small, but they have a studio upstairs where they do pottery. So it's like a pottery studio. She's a painter, so the gallery itself shows a bit of a mix. The print room is the main equipment here. There are bits and pieces of other things like a printer and stuff in the cupboards. They've got like a PA system and a projector and things that the artist might want to use if they're running an event or something. Little photography cameras and photography lights. So there's bits and pieces that we've just collected and people can use if they need them. But in terms of the main equipment is the print room. The exposure unit and the drying unit for the screen printing, because God, it makes your life so much easier. Because you can quickly expose something and dry it and be ready to printing straight away. Also, technically, we didn't buy a lot of these because it's things we've accumulated and been given and stuff, whereas those two we actually did buy. If we're calling customers the artists in the space, they get, so we do a discount on the print space, so if they want to come and use this, they get discounted use on it. We chose to separate the two, so there was a conversation on whether they instantly get to use the print room as part of it or not, and we kind of realised that because we've got lots of different artist types, we didn't want to increase the cost of the studios for people that might not use the print room. But having said that, we do give them a discount on it, so they basically get it almost like basically half price to use the print room. They also, if they want to run a workshop, we have costs to rent that space, but we'll give them it for free, giving them it half price, but we do offer a bit of free fair use kind of stuff. But if it's a commercial workshop, we basically do a half price rental cost. We also give them 10% off in the shop downstairs. But something I'd like to explore is seeing whether there'd be funding out there, which I think there is. I've had early conversations with the City Arts a few years ago, and it's just taken time to get to it, where there's potential for them to basically fund some memberships or studios, and off the back of that, maybe turn it into a bit of a bigger project. I'm involved with a thing called Good Things Market, which is a market we run at the top of the street 4 times a year, and we get artists, makers, creators come, and we get about 3,000 people down, and it's amazing, and loads of people. So I'd like to kind of tie it all in and have a bit of a project where it's a funded use of the space, kind of like a residency, but more leaning towards creators and makers, mostly because that's where my brain is. Maybe I'm a bit more commercial in that sense, which is maybe a bit of a dirty word, but you know, printmaking, making products and prints to sell, and then we have the market, and obviously we have the shop. That's just kind of where my kind of mind is. And yeah, being able to tie in with the market and potentially do stuff. But it's one of those ideas that's like in the head, and early conversations have been had, but I'm just getting the time to actually push on with these things. I've always wanted to go more as professional end of the spectrum as possible. Admittedly, it's ended up being a lot more DIY than I initially, but when we first concepted it, it was to be as professional and a proper space, not just a crappy leaky warehouse.
There are some really interesting kind of things to add, other than the fact I'm obviously a studio user here, but also the way in which Juice has operated and Joe as a manager has operated has also given me opportunities outside of this space. Good. And I think that's also something really important to
take away for us.
Yeah, how it, you know, becoming a creative community and how that actually is, it's not limited to one space, it's actually like it's like a little organism of its own.
We have got 6 core services. One is all around training, which is called our social action programme, and it has 3 strands: enterprising, champions and remedies. So those titles speak for themselves. Another one is our referrals through doctors, all about social prescribing, and that is using arts for wellbeing and connection, and we often work with medium mental health referrals who are coming and breaking isolation. So that's very much using that therapeutic end of what we do. And then we have our volunteering service and mentoring and internships, so that's about skills and getting ready for employability. We're very much known for our commissions, and that actually is mainly what I set up to do as commissions. And commissions take the form of totally community art commissions, less so public art. Public art is when we do them at our level. Community arts is all about involving the people right from the beginning. And the mediums we use those is textiles, mosaic and ceramics. And I still love community arts, but actually I've found budgets is really dwindling for them. But our main ones is we'll do hoardings around building estates, get the whole community involved. We do school projects, we do underground hospitals, prisons, women's centres, and it's just wonderful to get people and for them to make their own art to empower themselves and the communities. So a great example is the one behind me here, which was made by some women about climate change, and it was women from a local women's centre that certainly needed some community love and empowerment. And they came up with this beautiful banner, and the idea of this, and it has been used, is that when we go with the young people, or anybody I should say, onto marches and climate change events in London, we take this banner off the wall and we march it through the streets. So, you know, it's a community arts project, but actually it's sustained. So that's just a typical one. We've got like, I think we've done 450 community art projects, and mostly in London, some are globally, but some are very big and some are small. It all depends on budgets, but essentially they are all the same thing about getting people together and then coming up with the answers. For our participants, there's lots going on free here. So although earlier I talked about our trading arm, I'd say it's 60-70% free and then, you know, income generating. But that's more the participants coming in. I think for my core people, which is say your volunteers, the mentors, the community connectors, then they always get free places on my events and courses and classes, etc. So another income generating we're doing where my staff where the team, not staff, will get subsidies. We do like artist events and artist suppers and things like that. and trying to make money in that way. And actually, don't you think it's all locally sourced food? We make it out like a banquet, beautiful dinner, 3-course by local parents in the housing estate. She makes the most amazing banquet. You've got a professional artist giving a talk, £50 a ticket, and we did struggle to find seats on that. We had 30 places. So subsidy went to 8 people who helped me a lot, and then I was like, brilliant, 22 places. So I'm just being honest here. You try and test things. You can't throw the towel in too early, but I've put on 4 community artist suppers now, and I have struggled to get numbers for them.
We've got a nice view here. People do like using it. The difference between before it was just artist studios, before the renovation, and as part of the renovation, there's obviously much more requirement for public focus. How does the public come and enjoy your building? So the public can kind of come in on this level. We've got the School of Painting upstairs, and they're obviously they have members of the public come in. So this is really the public-facing part of the building, and then just means that we can shut the doors and the artists can get on. We don't need to bother them, apart from possibly during September Festival when they're invited to open their studios as kind of and have people coming around. And we have 15 studios. We've got 2 studios for the School of Painting. We've got 4 cellars for fishermen, and we've got 2 spaces here which is welcome the public. So this is a community space basically. We use it for talks, lectures, exhibitions, film interviews.
Yoga classes.
Yeah. It was a big renovation project, and it was really important that the public come and enjoy the building, which they hadn't been able to before, apart from just certain times of the year.
This space that we're in now, members of the community or anyone can hire it out for kind of different functions, events, meetings, exhibitions, workshops, kind of you name it, they can use this room.
Probably our main public focus is September Festival. So St Ives has a 2-week September Festival, and it's music and arts and literature, and so we get that's where this space, for 2 weeks we just have a whole range of lectures and films and exhibitions, and at the end of 2 weeks we can shut the door and go back to being normal people again.
So furniture, so like chairs, tables, screen and projector. We've got painting walls here, so if someone's having an exhibition in terms of hanging space. We've
got equipment in this space, but obviously it's mainly individual workspace for the artists. They're responsible for their own equipment.
Yeah.
Well, I think would be absolutely lost without computers.
That printer, actually. Yeah.
You get a power cut, everybody sits around twiddling their thumbs. What do I do now?
We run our own events programme, so talks from kind of either artists, other creatives, filmmakers based in Cornwall, or also, we bring people from outside of Cornwall to speak here, and I offer for that free spaces for our studio holders.
This is the main office and co-working space, as it were. I mean, straight up, artist studios, big thing. We have our main office here, which is a big open plan space. It also doubles up, we can clear it out, and is regularly used as a function space as well, whether that's for talks or screenings or impromptu dance parties by artists visiting to do techno nights suddenly off the cuff. We have a large project space upstairs. It's got meeting rooms, it's got other flexible spaces, but it's really about how artists how artists come in and do projects here and develop work. And that has been one of the biggest things. How do artists access that space as a experimental space. And for us, it's been about process. It's been all about process. I really don't care about the final product. Quality, I don't know, who am I to judge quality? I don't know. I will put on a show about anything. If someone says, I really want to do this, yeah. But so in terms of that, it's about the people and about how they pass through. And the challenges, why is that a challenge? I suppose it's just getting that other people around you to understand that. Stop, who cares? Who cares if the wall's painted properly? Who cares if that is not what matters? The matters is, are these people having a great time? Yes, brilliant. We will support them getting there, and then they do what they do. We have done, through funding bids, we've done programmes of work, but again, we've been bringing artists in who've done a project with us and spent time with us doing that project. That's the most important thing. Along with this project space over in Convention House as our environment technology, it might come out in other ways when I say it again, but they're over there. We've got 2 more project spaces, small project spaces. We've got some IT equipment, flexible spaces for technology. The ground floor is really now settling in to what it should be. It was a building where we wanted to be really slow about it. That's really hard when finances come into it. I didn't want to put people in the spaces. I wanted to be able to, for us to be able to work out what we needed, and I think we're finally kind of seeing how that works by the different groups that come in. The other side of it is everything else we do. So there's a lot of infrastructure work. There's a lot of work around bringing organisations together, looking at how provision is made for artists on a wider scale across the city, nationally. That's an ongoing thing at the moment, working with the Arts Council. There's also the work we do in terms of projects, commissioning artists, programmes of work, the engagement with audiences and communities, visiting spaces across Europe. And we've regularly organised staff trips and trips with artists to go and visit different cities. Our most recent was Lisbon last year, and I think we saw 19 venues in 3 days. So it's kind of, they're full on things, and that's to really glean and see what ideas we can import. And then the other part is there is a big push to work locally, and after we've done so much going out over so many years and looking at other things within the last sort of three years since, I suppose, just before COVID, we were starting to think about it a lot more. Post-COVID, we're thinking about it. How do we engage with our direct locality? And the neighbourhood plan was basically setting up a parish council, and that was led by ourselves, working with Leeds City Council.
The site here is divided sort of roughly into 2. So we're on one side of it, and this is our sort of storage area for members, as well as our pick up and drop off for work. This is also where we keep the kilns, so this is the kiln room. And then next door we have a dedicated teaching space. But in terms of the way it's like laid out, we do, as part of our sort of membership, we have one of these shelves per member. Yeah. We've currently got about 130 active members, so it keeps us busy. And the studio's open Tuesday through to Sunday, and that's 10 until 10 Tuesday to Thursday, and then 10 till 8 Friday to Sunday. So it's quite long hours. And then we also close on Mondays for deep cleans. So from a health and safety perspective in the ceramic studio, that cleaning is really, really important, particularly in shared areas. So Turning Earth has 3 public access studios. That's our Hoxton site, the site here in Leighton, and the one in Highgate, which is newly opened. And we also have a professional studio around the corner from here in Leighton. And the original site was just the one, it was Hoxton, and that opened up about 10 years ago now. And that really came across from that American model. In the US they have a lot of membership studios, and there really wasn't much of that happening, particularly in the UK, but not at all in London really. So Hoxton opened up, and it was an excellent time, I think, when people wanted to get in touch with something physical, something man-made. and very quickly filled up. I was apparently, when it first opened, it was a bit like Glastonbury. There was like queues of people waiting to sign up for membership, which was excellent. So very quickly the company expanded and opened up this site about 7 years ago, and has just continued growing since, particularly after this site opened. As the ceramic scene was continuing to grow in London, there was a lot more demand for not just a hobby space but a professional space. There was an expansion to our in-production unit, which is the professional space around the corner. So that's a space of about 30 spaces, and those are all people who really started within the company, started making as a hobby or as a side to their usual work, and have now become full-time makers and taken their work to the next level, really. And interspersed with that, we have our yearly markets. So if you're part of the membership, you get access to our yearly markets, which tend to be in Easter, in summer, and the big one in Christmas. So when you're inside the studio, you then get access to affordable events like that, where you can sell some of your work, meet other makers. It's an excellent networking opportunity. And it's really well attended. So we had our last Christmas market here in E10, and that had over 1,300 visitors. And we've become a real destination for not just Christmas gifts, but sort of the ceramic community as a whole. In this site, we have 35 pottery wheels, Shimpo RK3E Whispers, which are great for your ears, because when you have 30 people throwing and they're all making that much noise, it starts getting a bit noisy now. So we have all the wheels in the main space. We have 25 large work tables as well, which are really handy for finishing off with glazing or doing hand building. We also have a spray booth in the rear, which is very handy for glazing larger work, and as well as some extra hand building equipment in the studio. So we have 2 slab rollers and 2 wall-mounted extruders, which for the hand builders, myself included, can be a bit of a godsend. So it saves a lot of rolling. We also have dedicated glaze area, which will have all of our studio buckets of glazes, which we have about 22 at the moment. We'll keep that clean regularly, and that area is fitted with glaze tongs, sponges, mats, anything you need to get started with the process. A lot of studios they'll have 1 or 2 clays or a few house glazes, and then you have to sort of mix your own. But this is sort of baked in as a membership model where everything's ready to go. We provide regular courses, so we have 6, 8 and 12-week courses on pretty much every day of the week. So depending on how much time you can get off work after work, you can come down here and we'll do our morning courses from about 10 until 1. And then the evening courses are from 6:30 until 9:30. So you get a lovely 3 hours, and that's the bread and butter, is our regular courses. We also offer membership services. So in our studio in Leighton, we've got over 130 makers, and they pay a monthly membership fee, and it's almost like a gym membership. It starts out at $210 per month, rising to $245 if you're on our shorter commitments. And it's competitive pricing in the city. It's an expensive hobby, but with that membership price, you get all of your glazes included. You get all of the staff working hard to do your reclaim for you, and it's a seamless experience. You just get to come into the studio, make your things, and then we handle all of the firing. We've got 6 kilns, and we do a minimum of 2 firings a day. So our turnaround ends up being about 2 weeks per firing, which is quick. And we have an induction process for each member. Right. That's a sort of insurance thing from our perspective, but also it's a great opportunity to explain to people how to use the studio, because I'm sure you'll have a variety of experiences where people may know what they're doing at all, or someone who's just done a couple of classes and they just want to get started. Yeah. So we explain to them how to identify like greenware, make sure it's dry before it goes in the kiln, all that sort of stuff.
We run 2 separate sites that have a slightly different focus here at Strix. The site that we are currently at is based in the Jewellery Quarter, and it's our newer addition to Strix, and it's focused more on the community engagement and artistic program as well, but on the commercial side rather than kind of fine arts developmental side, although we do have graduate residencies, so it's a mixture of everything, really. They can use the galleries, they can use the cafe for meetings, any facilities that we have they can use free of charge. We run monthly group crits for our artists that we pay one of our studio holders to facilitate. We run a yearly annual studio holders exhibition that we pay curatorial fee for, like a curatorial meeting for each artist, so they have a small fee to come to us and talk to us about their work and what they would like to include. We also run a winter fair exhibition, which is more with a commercial focus, so they can partake in that and sell their work. And Digbeth side, it's more of an open space, white cube gallery format, and we run our residency program from there, so working with emerging and mid-career artists on progressing their careers and developing their professional practice. In Digbeth, we have 17 artist studio spaces and the gallery where we run an artistic program. And in this space we have a cafe, a commercial gallery room, a community gallery and studio spaces as well. And we are actually in an exciting period of our story in the Jewellery Quarter, because we are developing our first floor to provide a new service, and it's going to be a co-working studio with incorporated childcare. So we're looking at the radical childcare options within the arts industry, and we just opened an open call for Mothers Creatives, and we're going to fund 4 residencies for Mothers Creatives that will contain 4 months full-time studio use and 12 hours of childcare every week for free for them, because both Anna and I are mums, and our children are now going to reception, the older ones, and we kind of really thought about what we needed when we first had children, and what support was available, what wasn't available, and yeah, we're very passionate about that project upstairs, so I'm excited. So apart from those spaces that we are kind of accessing in the physical world, we also have a virtual gallery that is virtual replica of a Digbeth space, so you can go to a Digbeth gallery from your home. We have collected some equipment over the years. We have TV monitors, projectors, VR goggles, iPads, drills and, you know, bobs of installation kit. We have a lot of childcare equipment, because we deliver a lot of activities for young children and children in like kind of primary school age. So we have a lot of art materials, we have a lot of sensory equipment and equipment that you would like for play work, loose parts and stuff like that.
Several different event spaces. We've got a dance studio, circus rigging for circus training. We have this little cafe space which is used for hosting. We can do meals, we can use it as a little performance space. The downstairs, we call it the plenary space, but really it's just like an open plan exhibition, workshop-y space. We've had everything down there from gigs to contemporary dance performances. People use it for mounting exhibitions or building sets and props, or something that needs a bit more space in the workshop. We've got a metalworking workshop, we've got a woodworking workshop. We have a little milling machine for milling plastic and metal, which is handy for making componentry and like custom prototypes. We've got a plastics injection molding workshop. We have a screen printing workshop. We've got a dark room. We've got a textiles workshop. We've got a digital print room, little recording studio. Yeah, so a variety of different things. People come to us and say, I've got this mad idea for a workshop. So we do a thing where people, when they're hosting their first workshop, they can always do it for free. We don't charge them to use the space. As they're finding their feet or they're trying something out, they get to use it. Or it might be their first performance night or their first workshop or their first whatever thing they're doing. We always let them use the space for free so that they can do it with a minimum amount of risk. If it goes well, they'll make a donation back to us, but if it doesn't go well, then they don't lose out big time in terms of money for having to hire the space. So really we get a whole range of mad stuff happens here. And we have people here we have improvised theatre, we've got circus artists, we've got spoken word people, acrobats, we've got painters, we've got sculptors, we've got people who are doing robotics, we've got people who are musicians, we've got all sorts of artists. It's deliberately like that so that they accidentally find collaboration.
We have a dark room, a photo studio, both of which are kind of at the moment in I suppose you could say, a period of renovation. And then we have some lockable studios that are larger, desk spaces. Over the road we've got some more studios, and we have a room there for artists in residency, visiting artists. So Sasha, who's here today, she's been staying there. And we also have our sister project, Sirens, which is an acoustic recording studio. And every year we try and do at least 1 or 2 terms of something we call School of Fish, which is when we run free workshops for people. Sometimes, again, when we've had funding, we've been able to pay facilitators and make sure everything's free and make sure everyone can get like a free lunch or something. When we can't pay people, we still have quite a lot of people that really want to just offer that service to people, so we do have people that will run workshops for free. I think over the Easter holiday we had some specially geared towards children, and Jasmine, who works here, she ran some, and some of the people, she works at a forest school, so some of the people that she works with came and just ran some free workshops, which was great. Andy, who works here, he works with the Cornwall Poetry Library, so they did a workshop as well. And we also have live music, so we have quite a lot of gigs. Ed, who runs the cafe, he's our events person, so yeah, we have a lot of live music. We've had films, talks, we have an open mic once a month, which is actually this Saturday. We have record fairs, boot sales, really varied. Yeah, just really, really varied. So we've got our our dark room and the photo studio, and part of the Levelling Up Fund is we've been able to get some screen printing equipment, which isn't up and running yet. So once that's up and running, we'll be able to offer that to studio holders, members of the public, and we'll be making our own merchandise and things like that. And yeah, like just the use of the space, really, like people, like some of our drag kings and queens sometimes will be like, can I just use the space to do a practice and things like that. So I think the space is like one of the best facilities that people can use. So if we've not got something on, then yeah, it's like knock yourself out, really. So much of what we've got here has been kind of given to us, or been so tight, like I said before, like really, really tightly ring fenced. So it could be just like, oh, you can buy this one thing with this, but you can't buy anything else. Most importantly, everyone gets a 10% discount in the cafe. They get a £100 discount if they want to hire the gallery. That's our studio holders. Once a year we have a studio holders exhibition, which is free. They can use the facilities here. If they're using the dark room, for example, which most people don't, we tend to get artists in residence use that, but they just have to pay for like chemicals and paper. If they need help with like say the dark room or something, or taking photos, then we get them a technician or something, but they have to pay for that. But and if they're exhibiting, we've got technician support for that. We share, we cross promote things, that if they're doing events elsewhere, we'll cross promote. And we do have a membership system, but that's in our early days, and that kind of allows discounts and things like that.
We have art exhibition space, so we have like solo exhibitions, group exhibitions, open calls. We also have performances, we've got studio space, could always do with more studio space. We have workshops, and then we have groups who meet here, lots of environmental groups like Friends of the Earth, Greenpeace, XR, writers groups. Then we also have a community larder and a repair cafe. And everything, once we've had a building, the community have come in and said, could I do this and could I do that? And we like to say yes.